Hello, my marvellous sausages. Now, the Huckleberry Exotic SMG is hardly something I've ever bloody used. In fact, I've totally ignored it. But then it dropped with Xur this week, and of course, the catalyst dropped for me during my playtime. And I thought, well, why not give it a spin? So indeed I have. So what I do is I thought I'd make a video for you to see if this Huckleberry Exotic doodah will be of any help to you players who are in the same boat as me. You know, the ones that have fun, but we're not absolutely top flight. First of all, I quite like the name. Huckleberry is quite nice, isn't it? Although it did make me think of Huckleberry Hound. I don't know if any of you remember Huckleberry Hound. He was a blue dog. I don't know. Well, anyway, I thought, what the bloody hell is a huckleberry? Is it some sort of fruit? Well, it's not. Apparently, the phrase, "I'm your huckleberry," means it's something that's suited for a particular job. Well, there's I Heart Huckleberries as well. No, that's I Heart Huckabees, isn't it? Yeah. Bloody idiot. Now, this name, Huckleberry, really suits this rather fetching-looking SMG, as once you have the catalyst, the job this exotic is perfectly suited for is to clear loads of little gits and ads. Packs of thrall will fall beneath your mighty barrage of infinitely reloading bullets in a magical magazine. Thinking about it, it's the firearm version of Thor's beer glass in Thor Ragnarok. I want one of them! So let's break it down first. Now, it's available as a rare world drop. Or like this week, you can buy it from old Tentacle Face, who was in the tower. You can't buy it from the exotic kiosk in the tower, I'm afraid. So it's RNG that's going to drop this on you. Now, it's a 750 RPM submachine gun, and it holds 30 bullets in the mag bum pipe. Its exotic sexiness comes from the perk called Ride the Bull. It's not dirty or anything like that. You get an increased rate of fire while you hold the trigger down. So once you release it or reload, the perk buggers off. Also, any kills you get partially reload the magazine, and this stacks up to 2 times, but there's quite a noticeable difference in the fire rate. You can hear it kick up a gear when Ride the Bull kicks in. So at 1 times Ride the Bull it's 810 RPM, and then on 2 times it's 900 RPM. It's also got ricochet rounds. Ricochet? Who's he? He sounds like a wrestler. Hello, I'm Ricochet. It's got a Rampage perk built in as well, and that stacks 3 times, obviously, with a 10% increase in damage with each stack. So just to give you a brief idea of damage numbers, I'm running the old Ori Lost Sector again, Huron Nessus, and you can see that the non-precision hits are getting me 1,352 on your normal goblins, and they're giving me 2,821 for the precision hit. So not too bad, and obviously Rampage will increase that up to 3 times, 10% per doodah. The odd thing is it doesn't actually show it in the kill feed that Rampage is kicking in. I don't know if that's a bug or if that's intentional. Next, there's the catalyst. Now, this drops from any activity playlists you're looking at doing Strikes, Crucible, and Gambit. Now, I've noticed as well, I'd advise you to use the weapon that you want the catalyst to drop for when you're doing these things, because for some reason that seems to up the chances. I mean, I only have anecdotal evidence for this and a funny feeling in my water, although that could be cystitis. But it's worth doing it, isn't it? I mean, what the hell have you got to lose? You're going to be using the gun anyway. What the hell's the matter with you? Anyway, once you finally got the catalyst to drop and completed it, there's 500 kills needed to activate that baby. It changes the Huckleberry from a good exotic, to be honest with you, a great exotic for a certain job. Now, with the catalyst slotted in, every kill completely reloads the entire magazine. Before, when Ride the Bull kicked in and you got a kill, it stuck 15 shots back in, which was half the magazine. But of course, with this completed exotic, it's the whole shamonky. 30 bullets goes right back in. Now, what that means is that when you're shooting lots of little peewees running around the place, you've in essence got Thor's beer glass, an endless supply of bullets. So you can see how this can be a really nifty little shooter. Right then, let's put it through its paces in some of the different activities. This is a fantastic little number in Gambit. Ploughing into the teams of enemies, it's like the little engine that could. It just keeps on puffing away until it's spent. It's bloody marvellous. And as for invaders, well, you gotta be up close to make much of a difference. How about Crucible? Well, it's a very viable weapon. Unlike the symmetry I tried last week, which I found to be quite difficult to use in the Crucible, I actually got a good few kills with this. It's really handy at close quarters, and of course it is arse at longer range, but then again so are all SMGs, I suppose. suppose. But come face to face with a shotty, and you're dead. But then again, I could be carrying anything, I'd be dead. Damage-wise in the Crucible, it's 15 for non-critical hits and about 21 for critical hits. And you're not going to get much chance for the actual exotic perk to spin up because of the very nature of Crucible. You're going to be releasing the trigger. So, you know, not the best in Crucible, but generally, though, not a bad SMG in general to use. Take of that what you will. I don't bloody know. Now, as for more difficult PvE activities, for example, things that involve champion killing, it's not the best because, of course, you have to make sure you've got the Overload mod in from the artifact this season. But once you've stuck that in, it does take quite a lot to stagger them. And the funny thing about these Overload shots, particularly with the SMGs, is that they take a little bit of time to kick in. You have to depress the trigger just for a couple of seconds before the Overload shot becomes valid. Now, I managed to stagger the champions, but it does take a lot of time, and the exotic perk doesn't really help at all, as the magazine isn't reloaded until there's a kill. So I can't really recommend it over using hand cannons for staggering Overload champions. To be honest, even legendary hand cannons like my lovely Survivor's Epitaph is better than this for staggering champions. So there we go, that's my 2 pence worth on that. Downsides, well, it's got a very slow reload speed unless you're augmenting it with a mod or you're using some kind of exotic which helps you on the reload, like the Peacekeepers for the Titan, but they work very well with any SMG, not just this one, of course. And another thing to think of in higher level end content, it's quite questionable whether you should sacrifice your exotic slot for this when you've got something like an Icolos SMG that you could use in its place if you want to use an SMG. So all in all, it's fantastic for your standard playlist activities, doing a bit of Gambit and Strikes and maybe even some Nightfalls. And it's a good laugh running around the Crucible too. I'm just a casual player and I really enjoyed it. But when you start getting up to the Legend level activities, you know, Legend Lost Sectors, Legend Empire Hunts and Nightfalls, it does get a bit sweaty against the bosses at the end. And particularly if you get a locked loadout so you can't change anything, and then you start to regret the fact that you've taken up your exotic choice with this instead of something that hits a lot harder in your power weapon slot. Now, if I did raise a chuckle, which is exactly what I wanted to do, a like and subscribe would be fantastic so you know when I pop my next wares on the interwebs. And don't forget as well, I've got a buy me a coffee page if you're feeling incredibly generous to fling me a few quid so I can go and buy SMGs. I don't know why I said that. I really prefer gin or Ferraris or a Millennium Falcon. No, thinking about it, I'd rather actually prefer the Enterprise D because it's got a holodeck and I'd never leave it. Anyway, thanks for pointing your peepers at me for the last few minutes. It's been an absolute pleasure having your company. I shall see you in the next video. Sausage ut.